The alarm rang at exactly 5 a.m., but Sarah Mitchell had already been awake for nearly an hour. Sleep had become a luxury ever since her husband passed away 3 years ago, leaving her to raise their 7-year-old son, Ethan, on her own. She quietly slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Ethan, and walked into their tiny apartment kitchen. The refrigerator held little more than milk, a few eggs, and half a loaf of bread. She sighed before making 2 slices of toast and scrambling the last egg. Money was tighter than ever. Sarah worked as an administrative assistant at Brighton Financial Services, a company where punctuality was treated almost like a religion. Her paycheck barely covered rent, groceries, and Ethan's school expenses, but she never complained. She simply worked harder. At 6:15 a.m., Ethan wandered into the kitchen rubbing his sleepy eyes. "Morning, Mom." She smiled warmly. "Morning, buddy. Breakfast is ready." He climbed onto the chair. "Will you be home early today?" Sarah hesitated. "I'll try." She hated making promises she couldn't keep. As Ethan ate, Sarah checked her phone. 3 missed calls. 1 voicemail. She immediately recognized the number. It was the daycare center. Her stomach tightened. She called back. "I'm sorry, Ms. Mitchell," the director said gently. "We're closed today because of a plumbing emergency. We emailed all parents last night." Sarah closed her eyes. "I never saw the email. We're very sorry." After hanging up, Sarah stared silently at the wall. She had no family nearby. No neighbors she trusted. No babysitter she could afford. And missing work wasn't an option. She had already used every personal day. Ethan looked up. "What's wrong?" Sarah forced a smile. "Nothing, sweetheart." But inside, panic had already taken over. By 7:30 a.m., Sarah and Ethan stood outside the office building. She knelt in front of him. "You have to stay very quiet today." He nodded seriously. "I will." "You can't run." "I won't." "You can't touch anything." "I promise." He smiled, trying to make her feel better. "I'll be the best helper ever." Sarah kissed his forehead. "I know you will." Inside the office, employees looked surprised as Sarah hurried to her desk with Ethan carrying his small backpack. Some coworkers smiled kindly. Others exchanged judgmental glances. Her closest friend at work, Linda, walked over. "Everything okay?" Sarah whispered. "Daycare closed. I had no choice." Linda looked concerned. "I hope Mr. Harrison doesn't notice." Sarah looked toward the manager's office. "So do I." For the first 2 hours, everything went perfectly. Ethan sat quietly beside Sarah, coloring superheroes and reading storybooks. He barely made a sound. Several employees even smiled at him. One accountant secretly gave him a chocolate cookie. Sarah finally began to relax. Maybe, just maybe, they would make it through the day. At 11:15 a.m., everything changed. A loud crash echoed across the office. Everyone turned. Ethan had accidentally knocked over a decorative vase while reaching for his crayons. The expensive glass shattered across the floor. Silence filled the room. Sarah rushed over. "Oh my goodness." "I'm sorry, Mom," Ethan whispered, tears filling his eyes. "I didn't mean to." Before Sarah could comfort him, a loud voice interrupted. "Sarah." Mr. Harrison stormed out of his office. His face was bright red. "What is the meaning of this?" "I'm so sorry. You brought your child into my office?" "I had no childcare today." "That isn't my problem." He was sitting quietly. "I don't care." Everyone watched in uncomfortable silence. Sarah felt dozens of eyes staring at her. I'll pay for the vase. Mr. Harrison laughed coldly. This isn't about the vase. He pointed toward the exit. This is a workplace, not a daycare. I'm begging you. No. My son and I will leave after lunch. No. Please. I warned everyone when I became manager. He folded his arms. No exceptions. Sarah's voice trembled. I need this job. Mr. Harrison reached into his office. A few seconds later, he returned holding an envelope. Then perhaps you should have thought about that before bringing a child here. He handed it to her. You're fired. The room became completely silent. Sarah stared at the envelope. She couldn't breathe. Please. I've made my decision. Tears streamed down Ethan's face. I'm sorry, Mom. Sarah quickly hugged him. This isn't your fault. She gathered her purse with shaking hands. No one dared say a word. Linda quietly wiped away tears. As Sarah walked toward the elevator holding Ethan's hand, she felt something inside her break. Years of hard work. Gone. In less than 5 minutes. Outside the building, rain had begun falling. Neither of them had umbrellas. They sat together on a bench. Sarah looked at the termination letter. Effective immediately. No severance. No recommendation. Nothing. She quietly folded the paper. Ethan leaned against her. I'm sorry. Sarah wrapped both arms around him. You have nothing to apologize for. But I broke the vase. It was an accident. Are you mad? Sarah kissed his forehead. I could never be mad at you. She held him tighter. We're a team. He smiled through tears. The best team? The very best. That evening, after paying rent, Sarah counted the money left in her wallet. $43. That was everything. She opened her laptop. Dozens of job applications. No responses. She kept applying anyway. Hours passed. Finally. One listing caught her attention. Executive Assistant. Walker Enterprises. Excellent salary. Health insurance. Flexible family policy. Immediate hiring. Sarah almost laughed. Someone like her would never get hired there. Still. She submitted her resume. Then she closed the laptop. There, she whispered. I've done everything I can. The next morning, her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Sarah Mitchell? Yes. This is Emma from Walker Enterprises. Sarah sat upright. Yes? We reviewed your application. Her heart pounded. We'd like to interview you this afternoon. Sarah blinked. Today? If you're available. Yes. Wonderful. Please arrive at 2 p.m. After hanging up, Sarah hugged Ethan tightly. I got an interview. He grinned. I knew you would. She smiled for the first time in days. Maybe. Just maybe. Life wasn't finished surprising them. Walker Enterprises headquarters looked nothing like Sarah's old workplace. The lobby was elegant. Bright. Welcoming. A receptionist greeted her warmly. You must be Sarah. Yes. Mr. Walker is finishing a meeting. She smiled. He'll be with you shortly. Sarah waited nervously. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She silently prayed. Please. I just need one chance. A few minutes later, the elevator doors opened. Several executives walked into the lobby. Among them was a tall man in his late 30s wearing a navy blue suit. Everyone immediately stood straighter. The receptionist smiled. "Good afternoon, Mr. Walker." He nodded politely. Then he noticed Sarah. Their eyes met. He suddenly stopped walking. His expression changed completely. Almost as if he'd seen a ghost. He stared at Sarah for several long seconds. Then his eyes shifted toward Ethan, who was sitting beside her reading a comic book. A slow smile spread across his face. He walked directly toward them. Sarah stood nervously. "I'm sorry." Before she could introduce herself, the man looked at Ethan and then back at Sarah. In a calm, emotional voice, he said, "You brought your son with you?" Sarah nodded nervously. "I couldn't find anyone to watch him." The man smiled gently. Then he said words that left the entire lobby speechless. "Good." He looked directly into Sarah's eyes. "Because I was that kid." End of part 1. Enjoying this heartwarming story? Welcome to Kindness of Park Story. If stories of hope, kindness, and second chances inspire you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness of Park Story. Your support helps bring more emotional stories like this to life.